right, good evening and welcome to the August 11th meeting of the Falmouth Zoning Board of Appeals here at Falmouth Town Hall. Calling the meeting to order and ask everyone to please silence their cell phones at this time. I'll introduce the board. On my far right, your far left, is Jerry Patamas, who is associate member. To his left is James Morse, who is the board's clerk. My name is TJ Hurry. I'm the chair of the board. To my left is Scott Peterson, who is the vice chair, followed by Suzanne Murphy, who is a full voting member, and Mark Finneran, who's a full voting member as well. Also with us tonight is Noreen Stockman, the zoning administrator, and Ashley DeMello, who is the recording secretary for the night. Zoning Board of Appeals is charged with applying the zoning bylaws for the town, and we consider requests for special permits, variances, and appeals as provided in the bylaws, which have been approved by town meeting and the Attorney General's office for the Commonwealth. All decisions the board makes are made through the public hearing process. The board's goal is to hear testimony from the applicant, from the public, and also to allow a full and fair discussion of the project prior to rendering a decision. To begin each hearing, the clerk will read the public announcement of the hearing and then present any pertinent information from the file, such as referrals from town departments and summarizing correspondences to the board. The applicant or the applicant's representative will then have 15 minutes to make a presentation, and time may be extended by vote of the board. The board will then question the applicant, and the public will be invited to comment as well. Public comment should only be directed at the project itself. We ask you to please refrain from any personal or derogatory statements. Public comment can include opinion in favor, in opposition, or it might just simply be a question about the nature of the project. The chair will limit discussion in the interest of time in the event that comments become repetitive. All members of the public wishing to speak should wait to be recognized by the chair, can come to the podium to the left, and we ask you to please state your name and address for the record. We do limit public comment to 2 minutes per person, and while you're up there at the podium, we ask you to please stay behind it and speak into the microphone. The microphone behind the podium and the microphones in front of us tonight, they are not meant for amplification purposes within the room. They're meant for those watching on TV, on FCTV. The board will then either close or continue a hearing. When the board is satisfied that enough information has been presented by testimony in the file to make a decision by motion and vote of the board, the hearing will be closed. In the alternative, we may continue the hearing to a future date and time. After the hearing is closed, no more testimony may be taken. And as for board discussion and decision, the board may then further discuss the project among ourselves, and a motion to deny or approve would be made and voted upon. The motion will include a summary of key findings and conditions. An affirmative vote of 4 members, which is a supermajority, is required for approvals of motions on special permits, variances, and appeals. A split vote, such as a 3-2 vote, would be a failure to carry and would result in denial of the project. Under Massachusetts general law, if a special permit is denied, the applicant cannot return to the board for 2 years unless the project is substantially different. So turning to the agenda for the night, we do have public comment followed by 1 continuation, 2 new hearings, and a few items on our open meeting agenda. So first up for tonight is public comment. This public comment period is meant for anything that is not on the agenda. So is anyone out there with anything not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, moving right along to our continuation, we have application 13-22, Sacchetti trustee, 461 Central Ave in East Falmouth, requesting a special permit to construct an addition and an accessory apartment above the existing garage.
So, Mr. Chairman, for the purpose of the record, there have been some additional, this is a continuation, there have been some additional items that have been placed in the file since the last hearing. There is a Mullen rule from Terrence J. Hury dated August 11th, indicating that he has watched official transcript of the missed hearing. There is also one in the file from Member Tamas dated 5/17, indicating that he has watched the hearing. There has been some additional correspondence to the zoning office from the Conservation Commission indicating that this matter will be heard by Concom on 8/24. That's from Melissa Bergeron to Ashley DeMello. Previous comments from other boards were read into the record.
All right,
No.
thank you. All right, and just so you know, the voting members on this are myself, James Morse, Scott Peterson and Jerry Patamas. And there were two previous members on the board who are no longer here, but Jerry and I have reviewed previous nights where this was held and we weren't here. So there are four members, and you would need a unanimous opinion from us four in order to approve the project.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appearing again, you already have before you the application and the plans for the request for zoning permission for the accessory apartment. You also have the planning board permit. And I think the issue that I present to you is, does the plan fall within the zoning regulations for an accessory apartment? I think they do. I haven't been given any information indicating to me that the application in the plan does not fall within the regulations. So I am, again, seeking authorization from this board to continue to make application to the planning board to construct the accessory apartment. It's as simple as that.
Turn it over to board questions then?
Pardon me?
Would you like to turn it over to board questions then?
Absolutely.
All right. Jerry, anything?
Clarification, when you just said application to the planning board, I'm assuming you meant to the building commissioner.
No, no.
I thought
The
they,
planning board.
they did a site plan review. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Did they do a site plan review? Maybe I was reviewing a different
Yeah,
file.
there is one on the file.
Okay.
So he doesn't, excuse me, sir?
No, no, you're fine.
He doesn't have to go back in front of the planning board.
No, he's before conservation.
Conservation and then go for building permit. Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, just so that I'm clear on that, because I'm confused myself, my understanding is I go before the building department, who then sends it to public health and Concom before they can issue the building permit.
Correct.
Right. So I've been to the planning, and they approved it in a single hearing.
Question before us tonight will be, we generally don't approve something if they don't have Concom approval. We can. So, I mean, you still have to go to Concom on April 24th, I think you said, or someone said. Didn't we have?
Yes. I guess
August 24th.
August 24th. My question to the board is, I understand that before I can construct this, I need the authorization from Concom and Public Health and the Building Department. But prior to those, I need the authorization from planning that it fits within their regulation, and zoning that it fits within their regulation. The hang-up appears to be whether or not Concom's authorization falls within the regulations of zoning. I'm of the belief that I would come to zoning after planning, as I was informed by town officials. Go to planning, go to zoning, then file your building permit. Building will send it to Concom, Public Health, and then the fire department, et cetera. So we've been hung up with Concom. Concom has been involved with this since day one, because I wouldn't go through this whole thing without talking to Concom prior to putting that plan together, that it's doable. So, I mean, I can keep coming back. It's been a big expense if you say no, because I had to go to Concom before I had your authorization. I'm not concerned about the Concom's authorization, because the plan has been adjusted twice for them already to meet their regulations. So I'm just looking for you guys to say, yes, if you can get building to sign off, if you can get public health to sign off, if you can get Concom to sign off, within the regulations of the zoning board, you meet the criteria for the accessory apartment. That's the answer, that's the authorization I'm looking for. Yes, you meet the authorization of this board.
I'll have no further questions. I think someone else might say it better than I did.
All right, James?
I have no questions.
Oh, okay.
No questions from me. Scott?
Welcome back. Just again, for clarification, I recall that the only true change was the utility sink up in the accessory apartment. Was that your comments?
Utility change? I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
You would mention that you were really, the only change was a utility sink in the
Oh, yeah.
auxiliary apartment at the end of the day.
Right.
Right.
If, just to, a quick review, there is an existing garage, and above the garage is a studio apartment without a kitchen. Okay. It consists of one large room. We're looking to add approximately 10 feet to that to make that one large room into a bedroom and a sitting area and a galley kitchen. The only change to this entire project, other than the size, okay, is we're adding a small utility sink in the kitchen.
And you had 3 bedrooms in the main house plus the one in the
And, right,
auxiliary.
there are 4 bedrooms,
4 bedrooms.
and it meets, right, it meets the septic design of the property already.
Okay. We had also mentioned in the last meeting about looking at the FEMA cost breakdown. Were there any changes to that from, I'm looking back, this is a December of 2021, so.
Yeah, I'm waiting for your authorization to go to the proper authorities to get the permit. So I haven't done that with regard to my presentation here because I'm having my engineering doing that. The thing that rubs me the wrong way, to be frank, okay, is that I know I have to do all these things, and that's fine. But I'm being asked to do a lot of these things and to absorb the expense, which I'm going to absorb, prior to knowing that I meet the zoning regulations. I think I meet the zoning regulations. I'm just looking for you people to say, yes, you meet the zoning regulations, but you're going to have to do all these other steps before you're going to be able to build. And all I'm looking is to say, yes, if you can get the other authorizations, you meet the zoning regulations.
Yeah, we certainly wish that the process was nice and easy, and the gating items were very clarified along the way, so you wouldn't have this confusion. But I understand where you're at. Thank you for your response.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
No further questions?
Suzanne or Mark, anything? All right. Public comment, any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this project? Seeing none, back to the board.
Can I ask, gentlemen, one other question?
Sure.
Would you entertain a motion to continue this? That way you'll have the Concom up or down by August 24th. It's another week.
That was denied to me at the last hearing. I said, could you give me an authorization subject to Concom approval? I was told, no.
I
You
agree.
weren't here.
No, I agree. That's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking is that if you continue this, which you can, okay, with no fault till August 24th, the day of the Concom hearing, you would then know if Concom's making any substantial changes or not, or whether you'd have to come back in front of us. That's different from voting it up or down tonight. We
Okay,
could continue, and I don't think it'd be that much added expense for another week.
No, I understand that. My retort to that would be, why don't you make it subject to Concom approval?
That's a reasonable request.
I thought it was 3 weeks ago.
It might have been, I don't know.
No, I understand. But then, doesn't that make the most sense? Yes, Dick, you meet the zoning approval, but you got to go through Concom. Whatever. I have no problem making your approval subject to building approval, Concom approval, public health approval, fire department approval, and I don't think there's anyone else that needs to sign off. Oh, I need a number on the house, so engineering. Make it subject to approval, subject to getting all those permits. Fine.
And you already made the representation tonight that you've revised your plans with Concom twice, and things are heading in the right direction with them, right?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think I gave Noreen I don't know if I gave you a copy of it, but I showed it to you anyway. The notice of intent was filed around the 3rd of the month. That notice of intent, obviously, you're not going to file those things until you've had a lot of conversation with Concom that they're going to approve it, because there's a lot of work that goes into that notice of intent. There was no change on the physical structure on that notice of intent from the plan that was submitted. The only thing that was increased on that plan was replication area was increased by 30 or 40 feet of indigenous vegetation.
Understood. Thank you. All right.
Do we have that plan in front of us? The change in indigenous area?
Oh, well, it's not a change.
Conservation, we don't have that yet.
So if they
I'll
do that,
submit
he's
it.
gonna have to come back here. Oh, okay, all right.
But I'll submit a copy if you'd like.
Administrative, okay, okay.
So I will say, I'm of the opinion of granting approval tonight, subject to Concom's approval, based upon the applicant's representation, that the only thing left with Concom is just approving that remediation planting. It has nothing to do with the physical structure with itself, and as far as approval with this board goes, it's a conversion of an existing studio apartment, so I think we could approve it tonight with appropriate conditions.
I don't disagree, with the caveat that if Concom suddenly comes back with some issue, that the applicant may need to come back here.
I'd concur with that.
I'd agree also. Again, for the applicant, it's unfortunate that feels like a ping pong ball here, but it's always nice when Concom has done what they're supposed to prior to it coming to our board, but again, to force you to go back and get back involved with
Okay.
everything under the condition.
Not to beat
I
a dead
agree.
horse, and I appreciate what you're doing. But when you ask an applicant to go to Concom for approval prior to your giving approval, the problem is, the engineering for Concom is pricey, okay? And if you don't have zoning ahead of time, which is the logical sequence, why would you go to Concom? You could go to Concom and spend $8,000-$10,000 in a drop of a hat, and then come in here and you people say, you know, that plan doesn't fit the zoning regulations. Yes, it fits the zoning regulations, but now you gotta go through Concom. Makes a lot more sense economically for
Most
the
people would
applicant.
retain an architect or an attorney before spending this kind of money, who usually could guide them to say, this could be a problem for you, sir. That's usually where we're coming from.
Okay,
But before we beat a dead horse
Yeah.
any further, it sounds like
gotta
you have the sympathy of the board, and it's,
Well, you're
and
ahead.
All risk snatching
You- you
defeat
may
the
also
cause
have a
of
condition-
victory.
I hate to say this, Mr. Morse, but that's the attorney in me.
Attorneys have to eat too.
I know, that's what.
would anyone like to make a motion to close the
I
hearing?
appreciate it,
I'll
Jeff.
move to close.
I'll second.
Motion to close made by James, second by Jerry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing is closed, no more testimony may be taken. As for the board's decision, who would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with conditions.
Second.
All right, motion to approve with conditions made by James and second by Jerry. Findings.
240-23,
Noreen, thank you.
Yep.
applicants,
More good news for you.
we're not quite done.
Oh, yeah, we need to go through our findings and conditions. We're not quite done yet. Sorry.
Location is at 461 Central Avenue. Applicant seeks to convert an existing apartment, approximately 625 square feet. Addition, location is in RB zoning district, is in a flood zone. It is subject to Concom jurisdiction. There is in the file a decision of the planning board with some conditions. FEMA worksheet was completed. It would be subject to the building department's review. Purpose is to add an accessory dwelling. Numerous referrals. 1 second, please.
And to that, James, we'll note that it's converting an existing studio apartment.
Studio, correct.
Right.
What else have I missed?
Oh, gotcha. Concom, they filed a notice of intent.
Testimony is that, yeah, there's in the file that the matter will be taken up by Concom on 8/28.
24.
24.
24.
24, I'm sorry.
24. There's a note from
8/24.
water and from engineering as well.
Yeah, referrals from Water Department, engineering. Engineering is, let me read them in, or we can just incorporate them by reference. Water Department had issue water main and service pit. It's currently on a meter pit. Water main and service must be on the plans to avoid any temporary or permanent utility conflicts with the proposal. Copy of our tie card record is attached to our comments. Existing service has a meter pit. Water is requesting the meter pit be removed, water meter installed inside the home. Any plumbing for the apartment must be fed from the existing home's plumbing unless a separate service is installed for the garage. They may not tie into the existing service to feed the new apartment. That was the
You're gonna maintain
water.
4 bedrooms?
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Someone else wants to chime in?
All right. Might be it for findings. You want to move on to conditions?
Per plans.
Yeah.
You can incorporate water comments into the special permit.
Must be unoccupied. Are we gonna go through the specifics of the accessory apartment, or
I would
incorporate by reference?
incorporate the
I like the speed.
building department's decision into our decision.
No, I meant unoccupied. There's a number of,
It's in there.
oh, okay.
Planning board's decision has all the accessory apartment
Oh, okay.
guidelines.
So we have the-
Normal,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, any conditions pursuant to Concom?
Yep.
Order conditions, usual work hours. Vehicles and materials to stay out of the roadway. If it's not possible, just to work with the Falmouth Police. Their decision, planning's already has the sediment and erosion controls, and Concom will have that as well, so it's addressed. Numbering of structures pursuant to engineering.
Noreen, given the fact with Concom, would they be under their jurisdiction? Would they be in charge of the sediment controls and all that? Okay. All right. Anything else?
You can get them out of the regulatory nightmare.
Right.
All right. So that was a motion to approve with conditions made by James, second by Jerry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. One hurdle down, a few more to go.
Good luck, sir.
Ironically, this was the tough one.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
All right, on to our new hearings. We have application 51-22, Hindenhofer, trustees, 97 Bridge Street in East Falmouth, requesting a special permit to remove the existing deck, rebuild the second-floor dormers, and construct additions to the rear of the non-conforming dwelling.
So being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that application 51-22, Joseph J. and Kathy M. Hinderhofer, trustees, 315 Willowbrook Drive, Wayland, Massachusetts, have applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Section 240(3)C of the Code of Falmouth to remove an existing deck, rebuild second-floor dormers, and construct additions to the rear of the non-conforming dwelling. Subject property is 97 Bridge Street, East Falmouth, Mass., being map 45, Section 6, parcel 000, lot 59. Have authorization for Mr. Clower to appear on behalf of the applicant in the file. We have referrals and correspondence, conservation, excuse me. Concom has approved the project on 7/20 of '22. Health Department has no issues with the project as presented. Engineering, the application was reviewed for impacts to public right-of-ways and public utilities. Bridge Street is a public way in the area. No alterations are proposed to the right-of-way. Any changes within the right-of-way would require filing a permit with the Engineering Division. 2, any connections or alterations to public utilities would require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, the project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, public right-of-ways. 4, it appears that portions of a post and rail fence are located within the Bridge Street public right-of-way. Permanent installation of objects not owned by the town located within the municipal right-of-way typically require a license from the Board of Selectmen. We defer to the Zoning Board of Appeals if this matter should be addressed prior to any approval or as a condition in any approval. We recommend the board add a condition that requires an addition of dry wells, rain garden, or other stormwater infiltration measure for the new roof area at a minimum. Assessors have no comment. Town water currently serves the property. The existing service has a meter pit. Any future upgrade of the service will require the meter pit to be removed and the meter to be installed inside the home. Planning, no comment. Fire department has no issues. That's it. No referrals.
Attorney Clower.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kevin Clower. I'm an attorney with Ahmet Clower Law Firm here in Falmouth, and I'm here before you tonight representing the applicants, Joseph and Catherine Hinderhofer, the owners of 97 Bridge Street. Mr. and Mrs. Hinderhofer are here with us this evening, as well as Adam Moran, the architect on the project. The applicants are seeking permission to alter the existing non-conforming dwelling on this property with 2 modest additions off the rear of the home. This property, 97 Bridge Street, is located sort of at the bend of Minot Road, just west of Green Pond. It is, in my opinion, possibly the prettiest neighborhood in town. This particular lot is 15,000 square feet. It's in an RB zoning district, and it is in an AE12 flood zone. Currently, the property has a 2-story, 4-bedroom dwelling with a footprint of just shy of 2,500 square feet. There's a lot coverage by structure of 16.6%. It is non-conforming in only one aspect, being the side yard setback to the south, which is 8.1 feet where 10 is required. Otherwise, it's conforming to all setbacks and lot coverage requirements. Joe and Catherine have owned this house for 30 years, but they've begun using it as their primary residence, and they're seeking these modifications to the floor plans in order to make it more useful for them. As I mentioned, there's 2 small additions to the rear of the home, which will allow for better utilization of the first floor space. It will increase the size of the kitchen and the dining room, as well as create a first floor master suite by combining 2 bedrooms on the first floor and adding a bathroom to the rear. There is an expansion of an existing dormer on the second floor, which will allow for the relocation of an existing bedroom upstairs. These proposed additions have no effect on the only non-conforming setback. The lot coverage by structure does increase, but it's only 197 square feet, so the resulting lot coverage by structure is still only 17.9% below the 20% allowed by right. There's no change to the existing ridge height, which is 18 feet 6 inches. The change to the dormer is below that existing ridge, and the additions to the rear are only 1 story. However, due to the existing non-conforming setback, this does require a special permit pursuant to 243C of the bylaw. That section states that pre-existing non-conforming structures may be changed by special permit. And this board is asked to consider whether or not the proposed alteration is substantially more detrimental than what exists. In order to determine that, you're asked to consider the standards of 240-216, as well as whether or not the alteration creates any new dimensional nonconformities, impairs views and vistas, and reasonably conforms to the neighborhood. In this case, there's only that one existing nonconformity, which is unaffected. There's no new nonconformity created. Though there is that increase in lot coverage, it is still below the by right allowance. There's no impacts to views and vistas. The changes to this property are largely to the rear. There's no change to the ridge height. There's no effect of nitrogen, same number of beds as at present. And there is the benefit of a new Title V system being installed at the property. Whereas this is in an AE12 flood zone, we did previously submit both the appraisal and the FEMA worksheet, establishing that the project is not a substantial improvement as defined by FEMA, and is therefore eligible for a building permit. And we're also aware of the engineering referral, an application for a license for the fence to remain within the road layout has already been submitted to the Board of Selectmen. This project will be an improvement for the applicants. It will improve the floor plan, allow for better use of the space, and first floor living moving forward. It will not create any new dimensional nonconformities. There's no adverse effects, and certainly none that would overbalance the benefits we've described. I believe this meets the standards of 243C as well as 24216, and I'd be happy to address any questions that you might have at this point. If I can't, perhaps Mr. Moran can.
All right, thank you, Attorney Clower. Board questions? Mark, do you want to start us off?
I have none.
All right.
I don't
Suzanne?
either. I took a drive-by, and it is a beautiful neighborhood up there.
It really is.
It really is, and I thought it looks pretty good. Looks like a good project. New septic.
All right. Scott?
Ms. Clower, you're going to have to use that as a lead-in for all of your future clients, right?
Well, this
Well, the bill's sent
neighborhood
out.
kind of sucks, but, you know,
All parts of Falmouth are
All our
beautiful.
neighborhoods are the best.
No, I think, again, as usual, good job in looking at all the aspects of which we have to review. I think it's a positive aspect of what you're moving forward here on the project, so no questions. Thank you.
All right, James, any questions?
1.9 feet more, and we wouldn't even have to be here, so I have no questions.
No questions.
All right, no questions from me either. Members of the public, any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this project? Seeing none, back to the board.
We'll move to,
I
oh,
do have a question.
oh, come on.
You have to earn your pay. Okay. You're also adding a front entry, yes? The 6x5, just so that we capture all the changes?
Yep, that is, there's a new portico entry area and roof, which is a part of that addition.
Open, but
Yep, so that's, you can see that there is a very small proposed entry shown here. It's 6 feet by 5 feet.
okay. And then the other question I had was, in looking at the existing plans and the proposed, it appeared that there were 5 bedrooms existing, but then there will be 4, maybe?
As I reviewed it,
Unless I miscounted.
existing first floor plan, we have 1, 2
Right.
bedrooms on the first floor, 3, 4, and then a sitting area. This sitting area is going to be the new bedroom.
Okay, so there is 4 currently then.
And as proposed, you'll see that that area has become a new bedroom. It's, that access is cut off, and there's a stairway from the first floor.
Okay.
for the record, the referral from Health. Health has no issues with the proposed project. Full septic review will come with an installation permit application when it is submitted.
All right. Anything else?
Move
All right.
move to close.
Second.
Motion closed made by James, second by Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing is closed. No more testimony will be taken.
I'll move to approve with conditions.
All right,
Second.
Is there a second? Second by Mark. Thank you, Mark. All right, so motion to approve with conditions made by James, second by Mark. Findings.
Locus is 97 Bridge Street in East Falmouth. Applicant seeking a special permit to remove an existing deck, rebuild second floor at dormer. 243C, not more detrimental. The only nonconformity triggering ZBA review is a nonconforming side yard setback of 8.1 feet. All proposed changes would be allowed otherwise as a matter of right. Locus is an RB zoning district, flood zone AE 12, existing structures 2,493 square feet, with a proposed addition of 197 square feet for a total of 2,690. Testimony is that there will be a new Title V septic installed. Project will improve the usefulness to the owner, not more detrimental. The proposal is in keeping with the neighborhood. FEMA worksheet has been provided. There is a Concom negative determination in the file. No new bedroom count. I think that does it.
24216, did we mention that?
I did not, thank you.
Speaking of the old, or the current bylaws.
The only bylaw.
The only bylaw.
The bylaw.
That's right. Referral from water, there's referral from Board of Health regarding the septic, full review upon receipt of an application to them. I don't think there's anything else for findings.
No comments? Was there any comments?
Well, I read the health one in.
No, I meant from
Oh,
public neighbors.
Yes.
Did we mention engineering, the license that they've already submitted
No,
to the
thank
select
you.
board? And was there a mention about dry walls, or, I'm sorry, not dry walls, dry wells with engineering?
They did.
Had that.
All right, conditions?
Per plans. Standard hours of work, the engineering referrals, water department referrals regarding the meter pit.
Regular work hours,
Keeping, yeah, equipment and,
everything on site.
yep, everything on site, or work with the police if that's not practicable. I don't have anything else.
And license from the select
Yes.
board
For the fence.
For the fence, the encroachment.
all right.
The actual issuance isn't required for the,
No, as long as you apply.
yeah, we have submitted the applications.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just wanted to clarify.
All right, I think that just about does it. All right, so that was motion to approve with conditions made by James and second by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Very
Attorney
much.
Flower.
Joy.
All right, up next, we have application 52-22, Jordan, 36 North Bournes Pond Road in East Falmouth, requesting a special permit to construct a detached garage in the front yard, more than 50 feet from the property line.
So being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that application 52-22, Thomas H. Jordan and Margaret Silbernagel, hope I got that right, I Paul. Silbernagel Jordan of 1348 Inverness Drive, Pasadena, California, have applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Section 240-68A8 of the Code of Falmouth to construct a detached garage in the front yard more than 50 feet from the front property line. The subject property is 36 North Bournes Pond Road, East Falmouth, being map 40, section 13, parcel 005, lot 68. For referrals, we have authorization for Attorney Clower to represent the applicants. We have referrals from Concom. Conservation staff have no comments on the above referenced project as it appears to be outside of Concom jurisdiction. Engineering has submitted comments. This application was reviewed for impacts as to public right-of-ways and public utilities. North Bournes Pond Road is a public right-of-way in this area. No alterations are proposed to the right-of-way. Any changes within the right-of-way would require filing a permit with the engineering division. 2, any connections or alterations to public utilities would require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, or right-of-ways. 4, we recommend the board add as a condition that requires the addition of dry wells, rain garden, or other stormwater infiltration measure for the new roof area at a minimum. 5, where the garage is close to the abutting property line, we recommend that erosion and sediment controls are included for this project to protect the abutter. We recommend the plans be revised to include a demarcated limit of work and include proposed erosion and sediment controls to protect the north abutter. Where the driveway is crushed shell and the proposed garage is set back from the public right-of-way over 80 feet, a construction entrance is not required. There's a suggested limit of work demarcated included in the file. We recommend the following conditions be included in any approval. Construction of this project shall follow the town's soil, erosion, and sediment control standard conditions. Document which can be found on the Engineering Division's page of the town's website. References to the Department of Public Works Engineering Division shall be replaced with the Zoning Board of Appeals, who would be the permitting authority for this project. Water Department, the existing home is on town water. The new garage does not show water servicing it. If water is proposed for it, the plans must show how the lines would be connected for review and approval by the town. Assessors have no comment. Fire has no issue with the project. Planning, no comment.
All right. Thank you, James. And for the applicant, Attorney Flower, once again.
Good evening again. For the record, Kevin Clower. I am here tonight representing Tom and Maggie Jordan, the owners of 36 North Bournes Pond Road. We are before you tonight seeking permission to construct a detached single-car garage, which will be located in the front yard of the property. 36 North Bournes Pond Road is located off the southern end of Central Avenue. Might be the prettiest neighborhood in town. It's facing Bournes Pond. The lot is a little over half acre. It's 23,736 square feet, RB zoning district, and surprisingly, it's not located in a flood zone. Presently, there is a 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling, which does not include a garage. The footprint is 2,495 square feet, which is only 10.5% of lot coverage by structure. The existing dwelling is entirely conforming to both setbacks and lot coverage requirements. The Jordans purchased this house in September of this past year and have been enjoying their time here since then, and they're splitting the time between here and California. However, the Jordans also just purchased a new electric vehicle, which is going to remain here even when they're back in California. So they're seeking to create a new detached single-car garage for both storage and charging of that vehicle. The proposed ridge height of this garage is 15 feet 5 inches, which is below the 22 that's allowed by right. The orientation and location of the house is such that a majority of the lot is quote-unquote in the front yard. The bylaw includes a definition of front yard, which is incredibly convoluted and involves drawing points from the house out to the property boundaries and then adjacent to the street. But needless to say, however you look at it, this proposal would be in the front yard of this property. However, it can't move further back due to the location, proximity to the leaching field. And moving it to the other side of the house would, require a new driveway and really just a kind of complete reimagining of the yard and the house. So we're here tonight requesting a special permit. 240-68A8 states that the board may grant a special permit for an accessory structure in the front yard, provided it's no closer than 50 feet. There's no other stated standards or requirements, which means that we have to look at the standards of 240-216. I want to point out this proposed garage is almost 81 feet back from the front yard line. Under the standards of 240-216, the basic question boils down to, does the proposal have adverse effects that overbalance its benefits? In order to determine that, we're asked to consider the adequacy of the site in terms of size. There's more than enough space for this particular proposal. The resulting lot coverage is only 11.9%, which is well below the 20% allowed by right. We're asked to consider the suitability of the site. I would argue that it's incredibly suitable. I think the garage is, well sited on the lot, and the site is has more than enough room for it. You're asked to consider the impacts of standard on traffic, which there are none, because they'll be used in exactly the same manner as it is today. The impact on neighborhood visual character, which I don't believe there will be any significant impact on neighborhood character. It's a simple, detached, single-car garage. The adequacy of sewage disposal, which there's no effect on, and the adequacy of utilities, which again, there's no effect on. The proposal, I think, is very straightforward. It solves a problem without creating any new ones or any new nonconformities. I think it's a simple, attractive design, which reduces clutter on the site. I don't believe there are any adverse effects, and certainly none that would overbalance the benefits that we've outlined. I think this meets the standards of 240-68A8 in as much as there are any, as well as the standards of 240-216. For these reasons, I'd be happy. For these reasons, I would ask that the board grant the special permit, and I'd be happy to address any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Attorney Clower. Jerry, any questions?
No question.
James?
No water going out to the garage? Electricity?
Yep.
And I presume your client has no problem with the engineering comments about sediment control and erosion and such?
I mean, I think that it's a very flat lot, but they'll certainly comply with whatever requirements they have to.
No other questions? Thank you.
Scott, anything?
No questions.
Suzanne?
I have one. Why wouldn't you move the garage closer to the house?
I think it has to do with the driveway orientation. So if you look at the driveway, to move it closer to the house, you'd have to there's a patio out front. You have to run the driveway next to the patio and next to the house. And then you've got that existing leaching system there, which you can't be any closer than 10 feet from that.
I was wondering what the,
So it really, there's no place you could put it next to the house where it wouldn't impinge upon that leaching field.
and I would put water, if it was me. I would put water. I like to wash my car. Just opinion.
All right. Mark, anything?
No, I think they've done their work. I don't see any reason why we would deny them a garage. It's
All right.
quite tasteful.
No questions for me? Public comment, any questions, comments, or concerns? I'm sure the applicants are in favor themselves. Good. All right, back to the board.
I'll move to close.
Second.
Motion closed made by James and second by Suzanne. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing is closed. No more testimony may be taken. And as for the board's decision, who would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with conditions.
All right.
Second.
Motion approved with conditions made by James and second by Scott. Findings.
24068A8, applicant seeks to build a detached garage. Location is on a lot in an RB zoning district. Existing lot is 23,736 square feet. Existing structures are 2,495 square feet, or 10.5% lot coverage. What is proposed is going to 2,817 square feet, or 11.9%, which would otherwise be allowed by right. Testimony is that is for storage of an electric vehicle. There will be electricity out to the garage. Not more detrimental. No opposition at the hearing. No opposition filed, written in the file. Keeping with the neighborhood. And the testimony was that the reason is that orientation and location of the garage is due to existing driveway placement, leaching field, septic placement.
Proposed height is 15.2, I think?
5.
15.5, thank you. And testimony had it that the applicants were amenable to the proposed conditions set forth in the engineering referral.
Thank you.
No problem. Good for findings, on to conditions.
Per plans, standard hours of work, things to be kept on property or work with the police. Can we just incorporate the engineering referrals about sediment and erosion control rather than reading them all back in? All right.
Sure can. Anything else for conditions?
If the applicant decides to put water out there because they want to wash the car, they just have to comply with the water department referral. Sometimes these things, people think, that's a pretty good idea.
Use water
Thanks,
restrictions
Suzanne.
in California.
All right, so we're okay with water if they decide to do that. All right, anything else? All right, so that was a motion to approve with conditions made by James and seconded by Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time tonight, and I think this might be
Another record for the new.
Perhaps a record for this year, but we've had shorter meetings.
We have?
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
All right, on to voting the minutes for July 28th, 2022. Tabled. Do have the board administrative approval, a request for a 90-day extension of special permit number 52-19, Cape Cod Aggregates Corp., Blacksmith Shop Road, Dimick Ave and Draper Ave in East Falmouth, with a vote anticipated.
So, Mr. Chairman, we've received correspondence from John P. Doyle, PLS, dated August 3rd, 2022, and received by the ZBA on August 4th, to the Falmouth Zoning Board of Appeals, 59 Town Hall Square, Falmouth, Mass. Subject Cape Cod Aggregates earth-moving special permit. Dear Mr. Chairperson, excuse me, I have been representing Cape Cod Aggregates over the years with respect to the special permit use off Blacksmith Shop Road, and I'm writing to you as their agent to request that you extend the current permit for 90 days. Through discussions with the zoning administrator this week, we have been advised that due to overcrowded upcoming agenda slots, necessary time required for legal advertisements, and some other detail, the extension would ease the stress on all schedules for all involved. Please feel free to call me with any questions, and thank you for your attention to this matter. Yours truly, John P. Doyle, PLS.
Mr. Chairman, a point of order, I'd have to probably recluse myself from this.
Oh, okay.
James was faster than I was.
No problem. Rather you make the disclosure than none at all, but don't
My
bother
apologies, Scott.
getting up and leaving.
So the board actually last issued a special permit in 2019 for this property. It is a 3-year permit. Typically, in order that somebody not have a lapse in their permit, they need to either apply or have an extension or something prior to the expiration. I did speak with Mr. Doyle on the phone, who had been out surveying the property in the 90-plus degree weather, which was not optional, not the best option for the way to spend a day. But, given that this is essentially an every 3-year permit, 90 days extension, I don't think is a big deal.
I would be in favor of giving the extension. I think that my experience with Cape Cod Everett's with this board is that they were always very receptive. They've always been very open with us. They've been receptive to the neighbor concern. The one particular neighbor who has that close to the edge of their work. So I would personally be in favor of the approval of the extension.
Does the board have any interest in a site visit this year for that, or?
Maybe in November.
Well, yeah, so you would be essentially extending them to file by December 26th. So I can certainly reach out to them if it's something that the board wants to go out and see, or if you'd prefer not to, or we can open it up and.
Traditionally, in the past, there has been a site visit for this application, and since there's been a lot of turnover on the board, I would suggest for members to have a site visit. Just given the unique nature of the application, you do take a lot.
I would agree with that.
And usually conservation will also go out and take a look, and at least you're getting another pair of eyes on that, so.
All right. So is there a motion then?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, motion was made by Mark and second by James to allow their, was it 90-day extension?
90-day extension.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. All right, board updates, is there anything?
How's the codification coming? Well, maybe it's not coming, I don't know.
Well, it's
Whatever you can say, maybe to be,
slow but sure, I
Okay.
guess. We're still kind of grinding through the phase 1, and we made a phase 2 list, so.
anything from the AG?
I don't know if that's been formalized.
No, that's what I meant, that's what I was
My
really,
understanding that they communicated some concerns, and
Correct.
that this will be back before fall town meeting.
oh, okay.
That'll be quick.
But I think it's based on the status of the bylaw, and then, because we are currently using the old version of the bylaw, because the new bylaw has not been recodified, or not approved by the AG.
That's what I meant,
All
okay.
right,
But the timing is tight, I guess, right, Noreen? Because we have to go planning board first.
that'd be
and
very
that's-
tight.
It'd be very
Then
difficult.
you have to put out the meeting notice before, so that's gonna be difficult, but.
Planning board does, we don't do anything, right? Well, you know,
You offer critiques from time to time, but other than that, it's balls in their court as far as that goes. All right. Anything else for updates? Or discussion, anything? Future agenda items? All right. Our next hearing is here at Town Hall, 6:30, August 25th. See everyone then, meeting adjourned.
55.